Between the two of them. The inside of Coates. Parker gets too heavily involved. And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hello everybody and welcome to the VRRC for the third round of this Formula 4 series here for the Academy series. I'm Ed May and joining me in the commentary box is, as ever, the wonderful Dave Marshall. How are we doing here, Dave?
Yeah, doing well and good. Thanks, Ed. But as we see, a few drivers not turn up, a few of them feeling a little bit under the weather due to the circumstances. But you know what? We're all here in good health still. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing how the drivers manage to get around Donington track tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And to all those drivers that might be a bit under the weather, aren't taking part but are watching along on the stream, we're going to wish you all a great well soon here from all of us at the VRRC. So, Donington Park, what a circuit, what a venue for racing. Almost 2 miles of undulating tarmac up and down the O through the Leicestershire countryside. It's a great round. If ever you've been trackside, you know just how much this track tests the drivers. You can see another thing that's testing the drivers, this bit of kit. The Formula 4 has been proving a bit of a beast to handle, hasn't it, Dave? Some of the drivers rather have been struggling, others coming to it like a duck to water. We'll see what they can manage though here at Donington Park. You can see the calendar on the bottom of your screen as well. Going to Snetterton in a week's time, then Thruxton, and rounding out the series at Cadwell Park like we did in the MX-5s just a little while ago. You can see that the MX-5s were first up. Then we've been in the Formula 4. Then we go to the Audi TT Cup with the all-important push to pass. Interesting to see how the drivers will navigate that old chestnut. And then into the Caterham 420R to round out the season. You can see what all of the drivers are fighting for. First prize gets you some AFC gaming headphones and 2 hours coaching. Second gets you Powermax car valeting and an hour of coaching. And then third gets you 2 hours of coaching, but split across 1 hour of race car setup and 1 hour one-to-one coaching. And we've touched on this before, haven't we, Dave? The drivers like to cash it in as early as they can to get the leg up for the next season. Luke Weston then, last time out at Silverstone National, taking top honours. Race victories all across the board yet again. However, he's not here this evening, so giving other drivers a chance to taste the top step. How very kind of him. Simon Reed there in second position for the evening, with Taylor Flanagan in third. And driver of the round, the noddy car, Kenny Press. He had some good races, didn't he? But we're going to be able to see what he can pull off this evening, because I believe qualifying day is just getting underway in the background. We'll have a little bit of a look at the standings. I'm surprised to see Luke Weston sitting at the top. Simon Reed there in second, Kenny Press third, and the rest trickle down, as you can see on your screens now. And with, I think, if I remember rightly, that is all of the rundown we have from last time out, Dave. So we're going to go to you and a flying lap of this Donington Park circuit. We're going to see how it's done.
So just coming out the chicane there of Donington for round 3 of the Academy in the F4 Championship. Down towards Redgate, turn 1, super hard on the brakes, down to 3rd gear, making sure we don't clip the inside of that red and white curb. It's really sharp and will really throw your car up in the air. Down the infamous crane of curves here, you want to make sure you hang it as far left as possible on entry to the old hairpin. Make that turning point as straight towards the corner as possible. You can see just a little bit of brake down to 5th gear and then straight bottom the throttle up towards McLean's. For me, probably the hardest corner on the track. Down to 4th on the brakes early, and you've just got to commit and carry the speed through what almost feels like an off-camber corner. Towards Coppice, a very blind entry, but you can see the aero on this car in 4th gear really just keeping that traction through that corner there. I like to keep a slightly tighter line on the exit for down the straight, but as long as you commit to the outside line, it will just be as fast. Then down towards the last chicane, you can see trying to not take any curb through that. That's not to say it won't work, it's just a little bit more inconsistent. Make sure you tune in at 7:15 on our usual VRRC platforms, YouTube and Facebook.
What a track. What a lap as well by our own Dave Marshall. I'm sure you were grinning ear to ear after that because it's looked like so much fun in the cockpit. Just absolutely wringing the neck over Formula 4 around this circuit.
Yeah, Donington's one of my favourite tracks to go and do a hot lap round, and actually one of my favourite race upon as well. I think it leads to some really exciting opportunities with late dives here and there, and it's actually one of the harder tracks I find to actually defend on. But brilliant track, brilliant spectacle to watch, and if you got a chance to go there in real life as well, really advise it. You'd be surprised at how steep that gradient really is down to the old hairpin and up the other side. It's quite mesmerising to actually go and watch it.
Yeah, I touched on it in my introduction to the circuit, just how steep the track is. You never realise it until you're actually trackside. Being on the sim only shows you so much of the story. You don't get a full sense of what it's like there in person. We're just watching the cars going through the chicane now as they're trying to set maybe bank laps in qualifying. You were mentioning to me though, Dave, some of the drivers might try a roll of the dice later on in the session, just seeing if they can get the luck of the green, maybe a nice favourable bounce over the curbs on that final section.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'll be doing, you know, to load up, get your first 2 or 3 laps in when the tyres are nice and prime, get a solid lap in there on the board. To be fair, like Sam Milner has a very, very good time by Sam Milner at the moment on a 108 dead. Taylor O'Flanagan as well, the best he's done currently in all of practice for him with a 108.2. So something along their lines, get them laps in, but then once you've got that lap in, instead of trying to find time in other corners maybe, just chance it through that last chicane, maybe hope that you'll get a decent bounce. So even if you're within a tenth of that lap time that you've set, if you get a lucky bounce through that last chicane and really push the limits of it, you might find you can gain back 2 to 3 tenths, and then there you're already 0.2 of a second up on the best lap you've done. So let's see if Mick will do that. He is actually. So Mick takes a little bit of a curve on the entrance there, but you can see the car had a slide after that first curve hit. So imagine he probably shrugged a little bit of speed off there, and sure enough, a 109 dead. So that's not going to be enough for Mick Sutton there to make progress up the grid yet.
Yeah, so no moves just at the moment for Mick Sutton. Following Simon Reed, though, up into the final chicane. What can he pull off? No electric sectors being set by Simon. Again, just trying to maybe get the tyres into a good window. Was very good through that final sector, which sets him up nicely into Redgate, into the first corner. Look at that, really maximising the run into the corner, but doing all the braking in a straight line. We saw at Brands Hatch several drivers getting caught out on the trail braking, and also a few times at Silverstone last week as well. But this though, down through the S's, down the Carina curves into Old Hairpin. Getting very nice there. Doesn't seem to be too loose at the moment for Simon Reed. Just keeping it steady, which I guess is the main thing to do at this car and this track, is keep it nice and steady up through McLean's and then into Coppice. What can he pull off now? It's so difficult, Coppice, actually, if you're there in real life, because that's where the sort of airfield and the runway sort of terminates. So the planes, when they take off, leave a little bit of fluid. If there's some excess overflow or whatever, that gets dumped there, and maybe after a bit of rain, it's like an oil slick down there.
Yeah, it is indeed. You touched upon there about, you know, Simon really nice and stable through there. I was talking to drivers beforehand, before this qualifying, and they were all saying on the longest stint, after about 15 minutes or so, this track actually proves really difficult on the tyres. The tyres seemingly are okay on the tyre apps that they run, or any sort of wear indicators on the screen. But the tyres just start to go off that window after about 5 minutes, and it's a key about just keeping it on the track and really making sure you get it nice and smooth and floor the corners, not trying to make any of them too sharp or too aggressive with the inputs, because that's really going to scrub them tyres down and make you struggle later on in that race. So yeah, it's one of them tracks where just nice and smooth, nice and flow. There's Taylor O'Flanagan with his first 107 and a Mick Sutton on a 107.9 as well, slotting himself up into second place. Incredibly close on the times. Look at that, between first and fifth place. What's that? That's
Yeah,
a tenth of a second.
Yeah, first and second, that's, yeah, less than a tenth, about half a tenth, isn't it, between the pair of them? Cracking stuff here at the front, but can Simon Reed throw his hat into the ring? Well, he's done enough to put himself just behind those two
Wow.
with a 1 minute 8:033. Good lap time, very close. Like I said, just about a tenth off of the current pace being set by Taylor O'Flanagan at the front of the field. I'd be fine to be there right now because I've just looked out my window and it's, well, the heavens have opened here, so I'd be love to be in the sunshine here at Donington Park. Mick Sutton, though, on a very quick lap. Purple first sector, personal best in the middle. He's going to try and chance it. A couple of bumps over the curves, maybe a bit too much understeer on turning for the first into that right-hander, but he goes through. Does he get it on pole position? No, he doesn't. So
No,
again, that was just that little bit of understeer into the first corner, and then all of a sudden he finds oversteer into the first corner. So final corner, understeer, first corner, oversteer. It's just not going Mick Sutton's way at the moment.
Yeah, 300ths of a second there off a pole finish. Incredibly close there. You can see his tyres really struggling a little bit there for performance. Simon Reed very respectful there, not getting in the way of the hot laps by Sam Milner and Kenny Press. Kenny Press doing a fantastic job, only less than 2/10 off pole, so that just shows between first and sixth place it is incredibly close on lap time, and it could really come down to that race strategy where it's looking after the tyres and who's going to have that performance in the tyre for a late charge possibly.
Yeah, it is going to be about keeping the car nice, and also drivers coming in for the stop to the pits, getting a fresh pair of boots on and blitzing it in these final 5 minutes. One of them to look out for is Simon Reed. He's just exiting the pit lane now, so watch out for him on this next lap because it could be a very good one. Taylor Flanagan, though, I've just noticed, has gone purple in that middle sector. However, he's on an outlap,
yeah.
So keep your eyes open for him. Taylor Flanagan is just starting to warm up, dusting out the cobwebs. This could be a very quick lap time. We'll watch him through here unless we see something in the background, like perhaps a car spinning, and that is Sam Milner down that back straight going into the hairpin. Just got it all sorts of out of shape, I think, through the exit of Coppice.
Yeah, it was indeed. I noticed he'd set a personal best sector 1 there, so I think it was probably a case of just really starting to push it on in sector 2, trying to open up that advantage. You know what? Any of these drives at the moment that are lapping have the potential to put it first on the grid here. Very, very fast lap times from all the drivers scoring at the moment.
Yeah, so this is it, the business end of qualifying. This is where the drivers put the money where their mouth is and really go for it. What is Kenny Press going to be able to do? 27.1 in the first sector, not too quick, but is that going to be enough to maybe get him up ahead of Brad Smith? I think time will tell. Runs a little bit wide there, going through the right-hander, then into Coppice. Takes a lot of curb on the inside, but the car doesn't seem too unsettled. I think, though, he's backing out of this lap and allowing the car behind to come through, and that car behind is Mick Sutton, but Mick Sutton doesn't want to come through, I don't think. Is forced to, though, just because Kenny Press is going that slowly in a straight line. Have a look at Taylor Flanagan's last lap. Not enough, actually, to improve on his previous best. Same with Mick Sutton. So Mick now, what can he manage? I don't think he's got fresh tyres on. He's been out there for quite a while, hasn't he, Dave?
He has indeed, but you know what? Some of these drivers are quite smart in the tyre strategy. They'll go out, push a lap, and then the tyres will start to overheat a little bit, and they just do a steady lap, enough to keep the temps in there, but not to bring any sort of wear and give them a second boost of life to go for another hot lap. But after this, that'll be him about done on these laps. And as you can see the counter, 2 minutes 50. It's one of them strategies where if he doesn't put together on this lap, he might not really have another bite of that cherry to go for a properly quick lap.
And I don't think he's going to be able to do it. He's just done a 27.2 in the first sector, nearly 27.3. So this is not going to be a fast lap from Mick Sutton. He's going to try and claw it back in the middle sector, but again, nothing going for Mick Sutton. Taylor Flanagan, likewise, not seemingly finding any improvements. Fastest person on track at the moment is Simon Reed into the 26s for the first sector. So I don't think we'll be seeing Mick Sutton or Taylor Flanagan really starting to improve in this last moments of qualifying. Simon Reed, though, with fresh tyres. Could this be an inspired decision from him? We'll watch him through Coppice and down this back straight into the final chicane. Purple middle sector. So Simon Reed is really getting the pace on. And look, I think his Delta is up on pole position. Can he get it through the chicane? Is he going to roll dice?
Nice.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful on the turn in. Keeps the car nice and stable, steady on the throttle, gets the boost out, and it is enough. A pole position. What a lap that was from Simon Reed. I was asking if it was going to be an inspired choice, and it certainly is seeming so, because with that lap time, Simon Reed firmly places himself in pole position, almost 3/10 faster than anything we've seen in this qualifying session. A mega lap that from Simon.
Yeah, you know what? He did this last time, didn't he? He did this last time at Silverstone.
Yeah.
He left it till the last lap and then came out and went, right, that's what I can actually do, boys. Put it on pole. And yeah, fantastic drive by Simon. That's the fastest he's managed to do. Brad Smith, currently a driver feeling very under the weather. And yeah, put it on second on the grid there in another sub 108 lap time. So drivers incredibly close. 4 drivers within that 108 bracket. And still, to be fair, Sam Milner there on a 108 dead. So there's 4 drivers within a 10th of a second. Incredibly close.
So close indeed. What can Kenny Press do, though? Because personal best first and second sector into the final chicane. A couple of bits over the curves, but it actually looked quite good for him there.
Yeah.
Very nice through the final sector for Kenny Press. And he improves, but just not enough to get ahead of Sam Milner. That was a good lap time, though. You could see his lines were getting there. It's just, I think this track not really favouring Kenny Press's driving style, because this is the first back we've seen him. But the thing is, he's looked consistent, and that is going to be the real difference maker into the races. We always say Kenny Press is a very consistent peddler, while all the others in front might be able to do it over one lap. He just consistently pumps up the sectors. And as I say that, how consistent, how good he is, he goes and makes a mistake into the old hairpin.
That is true, but you know, he's not third in the championship for no reason. He's had a super consistent finish, driver of the round last time out, 2 consistent podiums at Silverstone, and previously I believe it was a 3rd and 4th in the round beforehand. Just a driver really capable of just constantly running at that, you know, bottom of podium position and just bringing home a nice and clean car when the others really start to struggle with them tyres and possibly spin out towards the end of that race.
Yeah, so we're into the tail end of qualifying now. The checkered flag has been waved. Kenny Press coming through, but coming into the pit lane. No drivers on fast laps. All have retired to the pit lane, so we can have a word with our pole sitter. Dave Marshall is going to speak to Simon Reed.
Yeah, we'll go down to Simon Reed as we speak. I'm saying to Simon, you're getting a little bit of a habit of this, where you'll come in and then just put your best lap in right near the end.
Well, it's a habit I'm happy to get into. That's a PB for me. I haven't done a time that fast in any of my practice sessions, so just stars aligned yet again for me.
Yeah, so what was it about that lap that really just hooked up? Was it a good drive through the old hairpin and just really good flow through the track, or was it just taking that little bit more risk through the chicane? Because to be fair, we actually saw it on the screen when you set it, and the chicane actually looked just perfectly, you know, not taking too much curb, just really smooth and fast through it.
Yeah, I mean, I have been losing time at old hairpin, and I managed to nail it that time, and up at the next corner, I think McLean's as well, I managed to get that nice. And as well, yeah, the chicane, I was losing time there. I found myself going too slowly through there, and I just managed to get off the brakes a bit earlier and carry more speed through the chicane, and yeah, it all added up to PB personal best.
Well, huge congratulations there, Simon. Regarding the race, is Donny one of them tracks that worries you a little bit for the actual racing aspect, or is it slightly less daunting knowing that the slipstream isn't quite as much of an effect around here?
Donington's a track that I quite like. I'm fairly comfortable at Donington, so yeah, as you say, slipstream doesn't play as big a part, so might not have to defend quite as hard, but well, we're about to find out.
We are indeed. Huge congratulations, Simon, on putting it pole in round Donington, and we're really looking forward to seeing how you're going to get on in race 1.
Cheers, Dave.
Thank you.
So that was Dave Marshall having a word with pole sitter Simon Reed. But we're going to go to a short advert now, and we'll be back with all of the action here at Donington Park. So stay tuned to VRRC. Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Oh, I believe we have
underway here, Dave. You can see the grid lining up. Simon Reed. Oh, am I back? Am I gone?
You are indeed. You are indeed back, Ed. You are indeed.
Oh, there's a slight blip there again. Like I said, the heavens open. Not doing too good for my internet. Having to get my 4G out, and sometimes it's not too happy when there's a storm rolling through. Enough of that. We can focus on the grid. Simon Reed then on pole position ahead of Brad Smith. Taylor Flanagan makes the front of the second row in third place with Mick Sutton alongside him. Watch out for Mick into the first corner. Sam Miller there down in fifth place ahead of Kenny Press. We were talking, weren't we, about the thin margins that we saw in qualifying. All of these front runners, in fact, all of the drivers are probably going to be in a big pack, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've been to a round where the lap times have been as close as they are for this round in particular. I know that a few drivers are saying they might run a little bit slower than what you would expect them to see, just to try and preserve them tyres a little bit. But I tell you, one driver I think on that grid that definitely won't be using that strategy, and that's Taylor O'Flanagan. Drives Caterhams in real life, and he's quite happy when the car's quite loose and moving around under him. So I imagine Taylor will be just flat out from the start, and he'll just deal with the maybe not so great tyres at the end when he gets to it.
Yeah, so we'll be able to see what Taylor Flanagan can manage behind the wheel of a Formula 4. Just think, though, in a few seasons' time, he'll be behind the wheel in a Caterham for himself in the sim. We'll be able to find out how he's able to do if he decides to stick around. Here we go, though, counting down until the start of the race. The lights come on. You can see the drivers getting themselves ready at the line. They go out and we go racing. And it is a great start there from Brad Smith. He's going to try and get the run on Simon Reed around the outside into Redgate. The first corner they will go. I think, though, Simon Reed just about has this. Look at that. Mick Sutton looks for a move down the inside, but has a collision with Brad Smith.
Yeah, a bit of a nightmare of a start. Just a little bit of a pincer move there from Mick Sutton, getting caught in the sandwich between, I think it was Taylor O'Flanagan and Brad Smith on the outside, but Taylor managing just to get away with it, holding it in second place right up behind Simon Reed here. I'd say the slipstream wasn't going to be a huge part in this race, but actually up the whole old hairpin, it's more significant than maybe you would necessarily think. It's uphill. As long as you get good flow up it, it can be worth quite a lot of time, and especially cars that don't have considerable amounts of power. This is the next opportunity. Round Coppice, as you said before, Kenny Press on the back of Sam Milner. He'll be in the slipstream down to the chicane, but this is where it's crucial for the drivers to maybe put the pressure on, but not to go for a move in the chicane. Just make the drivers think they're going to get the run through the chicane and then possibly make a move in turn 1. But as you see, Kenny Press there putting the pressure on, but making a mistake there on the brakes, and that's brought Mick Sutton right up into the picture here. Kenny needs to defend this inside, but Mick Sutton has already shown his nose. Mick Sutton's going to brake a little bit harder. Can Kenny manage to get the cut back, or is he going to get hung out to dry? He's getting hung out, actually. Mick Sutton, job done by mid-corner there, and that is incredibly close from Kenny Press there, almost with his front, well, I was going to call it a front bumper, but it isn't. It's a front diffuser, isn't it, under the back wing?
Yeah, trying to get the front wing under the rear wing of Mick Sutton, but Mick holding firm and trying to salvage something out of this race. Definite damage there to the front of his car, but what can he pull off? Trying to close up to Sam Milner up in front, while Simon Reed and Taylor Flanagan work on building a gap to the rest of the field now. So this is going to be the race here for the next 17.5 minutes. Simon Reed ahead of Taylor Flanagan, ahead of Simon Milner, Mick Sutton 4th, Kenny Press 5th, Brad Smith unfortunately not been able to get back through the field, down in 6th position, but don't count him out just yet. There's Simon Reed getting very good lines, nice and stable. You can see that he's not really using the tyres too much here in this early phase of the race, allowing the car behind Taylor Flanagan to do all of the work in catching up.
Yeah, he is indeed, and there's the noddy car chasing Mick Sutton there. If you're looking at Mick Sutton's lines, maybe taking a little bit more of that old hairpin inside curve there. Notice Mick Sutton's taking quite a lot of it, and Kenny Press wasn't, so he's going to be watching Mick Sutton from behind here and going, actually, you know what, he's carrying a little bit of speed there, maybe I can take a bit of that as well. And you'll notice how there's a bit of a stalemate on the go at the moment. All the cars sitting very, very similar lap times indeed, and all the men looking after the tyres, not wanting to push anything too hard. But Taylor O'Flanagan still putting a good amount of pressure on Simon Reed there, second fastest second sector out of anyone on the grid. Brad Smith setting the first sector fastest out of anyone on the grid. So Brad Smith and Taylor O'Flanagan, the two drivers really starting to make good headway here in this session.
Yeah, that fastest lap of the race so far, I think, is still firmly in the hands of Simon Reed, the woman 18.400. Very good stuff on the car. He's currently leading this race. It's mainly down to the first second, I think, from Simon Reed, because no one is seemingly able to match him at the moment. 27.1. Oh, Mick Sutton is going on a bit of a charge, though, trying to close up to Sam Milner. So even with the damage, Mick is finding a little bit of pace here. Yeah,
he is indeed. Actually, Mick's got a bit of pace, but actually he's pulling Kenny Press with him, isn't he? He's making good headway. Kenny Press is closing the gap on board. In fact, Mick Sutton's gone a little bit wide there on the grass. Brilliant opportunity for Kenny Press. Job is already done. Look at that in the slipstream. Can he get back in front of Mick Sutton to defend? He has indeed. Mick Sutton actually gone too far left there on the brakes, catching the grass and putting him straight.
Yeah, he had a bit of a moment coming out of McLean's, and that was what really caused the car to be loose into Coppice. So grass on the tyres meant that he ran even further wide and got a little bit more grass for his troubles through Coppice all the way down Starkey Straight. Well, Mick Sutton was a sitting duck for Kenny Press to carve on through. We were talking about this, that if any of these drivers up in front make a mistake or make an error, you know that Kenny Press is going to be right there to capitalise, because of how consistent, how sensible he is at driving. And towards the end of the race, I reckon Kenny Press could be one to look out for, because he doesn't drive too aggressively. He keeps his tyres in check. Yeah. And that is so crucial in this Formula 4, is the tyre life.
It is indeed, and actually for me, a driver that's impressed me at the moment, Sam Milner, one of his best drives of the season currently, sat there in third place, driving very much within himself. But I tell you what, he's not letting Taylor O'Flanagan get too far ahead of you. Lap times are very, very close indeed. In fact, last lap time was within 1/10 of a second. So, yeah, these drivers, Tom O'Farrell, the guy who's doing all the broadcast for us here, doing a fantastic job with the camera angles. commenting saying, you know what, it's actually going to be a race that I think is going to come down to mistakes. I think he's bang on the money there. This is going to be down to them drivers that maybe put a wheel too much on the grass, maybe a little bit of a lock-up on the brakes, and them little fractions of time is what's going to bring other drivers into the picture. So currently, a little bit of a stalemate, all the drivers running very, very close on lap times, but you just wait till their mistakes start to happen, when them tyres start to go off and, you know, start to push a little bit harder. You saw Mick Sutton there going a little bit wide, going up Old Hairpin. It's little mistakes like that that he was catching Kenny Press there, and now Kenny Press actually going wide onto the green, and unfortunately, maybe your commentator's cursed bias saying he's Mr. Consistent has actually lost the back end, and unfortunately found himself right at the back of the grid. Looking at the lap times, I think you'll agree that's going to be a hard job to try and catch the rest of the pack up now.
Yeah, rare mistake that from Kenny Press, but he does want to style it out and get up and running once more. So that could be it for Kenny in terms of his race, because these front runners are so far away ahead of the rest. You can see the line that Simon Reed takes really opens up. The first corner goes way through into the exit at Redgate, but it works for him. He gets a good run through this sort of downhill section through the crane of cows. Look how much Taylor Flanagan is closing up though, trying to put the pressure on, and you're talking about mistakes. They're only going to get more and more likely as this race goes on, as the tyres get more and more worn and depleted, the grip starts to go away, and oh my word, what a send from Taylor O'Flanagan. That came out of nowhere, catching both of us off guard in the comms box, nonetheless catching Simon Reed off guard. What a move that was by Taylor O'Flanagan down the inside into McLean's, and then as they make their way up through Coppers, you can see the advantage he has now. I don't think he's going to be too worried down into the final chicane. So we will have a new leader in this race, and it is Taylor O'Flanagan.
What a move. What a move that was. That's one of them things where he committed so hard to that move, and it could have been so bad if Simon Reed hadn't seen that move happening. But it happened so quick. There was nothing Simon Reed could do about it. It happened that quick for us, Ed. We didn't even see that move coming.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm very close to saying that Taylor Flanagan's already got driver of the round for that move. That was an amazing send, wasn't it? Cracking stuff that by Taylor Flanagan, but he does pull off these little moves, these surprising lunges. But because of how good he is on the brakes, he's able to make him stick. He sees the chance and he goes for it. You know that Donington Park is one where, while it isn't necessarily the easiest track to defend from, if you do get the good runs out of the corners, it does make your life all the more easier. So Taylor Flanagan capitalised on the run he got through the Old Hairpin up towards McLean's and just absolutely sent it. Speaking of sending it, well, Brad Smith just got through on Mick Sutton. So Brad Smith, after the start to the race that he probably wasn't hoping for, there's been a mistake here. Oh my word, Taylor O'Flanagan has had a moment into, I'm guessing, final chicane. What on earth happened there? We just missed it.
Yeah, I mean,
what a shame.
We've got nothing on the server suggesting
front wing damage.
Nothing suggests any sort of collision there. So maybe it was a mistake on the brakes. Maybe Tom O'Farrell can maybe enlighten us there if he saw maybe something that we didn't. But this battle between Brad Smith and Taylor O'Flanagan here, that front wing damage is going to be hindering Taylor massively here. Really bad understeer. Yeah, he's exactly a sitting duck here. This is going to be a race for Taylor to go. That wasn't ideal, but a reverse grid race could play right into his hands here. We've seen the pace he's got. Yeah,
he's just got a huge straight line speed deficit now. You could see that Brad Smith and Mick Sutton were able to pass him like he wasn't there. And again, you think he just tags Mick Sutton a little bit, and that sends him spinning all the way around. He's going to try and get the car up and running once more to get himself up ahead of Kenny Press, but not enough. You can see in the background there, Kenny has gotten ahead and into 5th place. Taylor Flanagan right at the back, and I don't think Taylor is going to be able to make up that time with the damage he's got on his car. But further in front at the battle for the race lead, well, look who's getting himself into the picture. Sam Milner. We were saying that he's driving within himself, and is now maybe the time, Dave, where we start to see Sam open the taps a little bit more and pile the pressure on Simon Reed.
Yeah, you know what? He was in the masterclass. He was asking the right questions. He was finding out what really was the best way to get the most potential out of this track and this car. And I think it's really starting to click with Sam now. I don't want to commentators curse him here, but driving very much within himself and impressing me a lot with today's performance. So definitely a driver on the cards for a possible driver of the day for me.
Yes, and well, I've already jinxed Taylor Flanagan in. I was talking about how great his move was. Maybe he's in line for a driver of the round. Well, maybe we'll have a chat with Sam Milner and see if he can pull it off. But of course, let's not forget the man who's at the front of the race, Simon Reed. What a drive he's been doing just to keep himself up there in contention for a race victory. Kept his head down when he obviously lost out into McLean's, and from then on out, he's just been looking so consistent. No mistakes coming through, and touch wood, that's not going to be the commentator's curse. You want this to be a good, clean fight all the way till the end in these final 8 minutes of racing here at Donington Park.
Yeah, indeed. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this battle's going to develop. Will Simon manage to keep his tyres in that window? Will Sam keep them tyres in the window as well? Or is the driver that's really going to start to maybe push the tyres a little bit over here and really start to struggle? And yeah, looking further back, Brad Smith, you know, is actually driving really well at the moment. Brad's managed to get his way past Mick Sutton and actually starting to crawl back. Remember, Brad had that moment at the start of the race which dropped him right off the back, and he's found himself back up on the podium spot. So really impressive drive at the moment by Brad as well.
Yeah, definitely picked himself up, dusted himself down, is now trying to see if there's something for him at the end of this race. Maybe an extra position if the battle between Simon Reed and Sam Milner hots up and they slow each other down. He can get involved in the picture. 7 minutes still to go in this first race of the evening. It's not over yet for the front runners. Simon Reed just starting to, well, equalise his times with Sam Milner nearly last time by, setting identical lap times, just 100th and a half between the pair of them. So Sam Milner, he's, like we said, he's just keeping his car where he needs to be, there or thereabouts with Simon Reed, just letting him know that he's there, not giving Simon Reed an easy time of things, and just, oh my word, is he going to hold it? Just about. That was going to be a very scary moment for Sam Milner to got the time ashore, but excellent car control to keep a hold of it all.
My God, I thought he was gone there. That was a huge move by Sam Milner. This is where he just needs to take this back a bit. He's got plenty of time behind him. Just let them tyres cool right off Sam. Them tyres are looking right on the edge after that little slide. Simon Reed's up the road, and to be fair, the lap times were nigh on identical. Sam just really needs to drive within it and look up ahead. So, oh man, there's going to be a crash. No, there isn't. Simon Reed manages just to avoid Sam Milner there as Sam Milner went past. Simon Reed pushing it on in turn one. Was that maybe just a lapse in concentration there? Looking behind him, wondering where Sam Milner had gone. But Sam Milner has found himself after that huge slide with the current lead of the race.
Well, if he's asking where Sam Milner has gone, we can tell him that he's in the lead of the race now. What on earth has happened there? For a moment, I thought, Sam Milner's made a mistake. That's the race over. But this has been absolutely flipped on its head. Sam Milner now, what can he do to stay in front? Because you know that Simon Reed, after that mistake, is going to have the bit between his teeth. These final 5 minutes will be excellent viewing, excellent racing here. I hope you're enjoying it, watching along on the YouTube channel. If you are enjoying it, let us know who you're cheering on in this final 5-minute scrap, Sam Milner or Simon Reed, because I don't think we know which way this is going to go. Both of these drivers hungry for their first race victory of the season, as Kenny Press has another moment coming through Coppice. Going to go back to this fight in front. Like I said, these two drivers, neither one has won a race yet this season. Who's it going to be this time though, Dave?
Well, to be truly honest, if Sam Milner can hold on to the performance he's doing currently, he's driving fantastic within himself. It's going to be whether he can defend that line from Simon Reed. We've seen how Simon Reed can be aggressive at the start of a race, can really get through the pack well at the start of them races, and whether that will come into play now, we'll wait and see. But for me, Sam Milner currently doing a fantastic job and finding himself in the lead of the race. definitely on the cards for driving of the day at the moment, the way he's driving.
100%. So, into, well, the final chicane. There you go. For a lot of time this race, and Simon Reed, this last lap has been absolutely monumental in his lap time. He's going to go for it down the inside of Sam Milner. Sam does not cover off that move whatsoever. So into Redgate they go. Simon Reed into the lead of the race. Here he goes. What a move that was. Is there a cutback on the cards though? What is the run like coming out of there and down the crane of curves of Sam Milner? Well, he's close, but not enough to go for a move. So Simon Reed finds himself into the lead of the race. And that was all just kick-started by an amazing run through that final chicane by Simon Reed. He's taking great advantage of that. And is the race maybe going away from Sam Milner at this point? Because Simon Reed is absolutely on a charge.
Yeah, I don't know whether this at the moment is just a little bit of Sam Milner in a brilliant position for some good points here, and he knows the car is a bit on a knife edge. He's had a few moments so far, you saw him have that brilliant hold. I think he's maybe just trying to keep them tyres a little bit under him. We've seen he's gone faster than the previous lap he did, but he was a second slower, so really suggesting to me maybe he's just trying to keep them tyres in check, and Simon Reed is just thrown caution to the wind already. He's just gone for it. He's thought there's a chance for a winning, so I'm just going to push the car.
Yeah, I think we've got a few more laps still to go in this race yet. So first corner will go through Redgate. Sam Milner trying to close down on the advantage Simon Reed has been able to extend over that last lap. Has Simon Reed gone a bit too early on this and trying to get the most out of the tyres? Because you know that after that last lap he did, start to be getting a little bit too hot, and Sam Milner might be able to capitalise on this. Up the hill they go into the right hander. It's difficult to spot the apex, but you want to get it nice and late and carry the momentum through again. Up the hill into Coppice, on board with Sam Milner here. He takes a nice line through there, but the bump on the curb actually unsettles it a little bit. It means he can't get on the throttle as early as Simon Reed. Takes a slightly wider line, gets the boost all the way down this back straight. Obviously on the run into the chicane. Look at that line there. Simon Reed getting it absolutely perfectly, as does Sam Milner. Nothing between these two drivers. There will be 2 more laps still to go though, with 1 minute 20 on the clock and with a 1 minute 8 lap time. Still a little while for Sam Milner to try and claw something back.
Yeah, there is indeed. I just looked at that. First, second and third all putting the last lap in within a tenth of each other, so incredibly close lap times between the front 3. But it's actually currently, I was going to say it's mixed up with the fastest lap, but it actually isn't. Brad Smith Simon Reed with the fastest lap. Yeah, 1 away dead. But the lap times are incredibly close. It's actually hard to see who's got the advantage here. Taylor O'Flanagan on a 108.445, Kenny Press a 108.464. You can see the lap times are incredibly close.
Just like in qualifying, this is a great round, and it's all about who can be the most consistent. Every driver, I think, has been able to find this car a little bit tricky to handle. Mistake creeping in. Obviously, Simon Reed had that mistake into Redgate. Sam Milner with his moment through Coppice. So, who will come out on top? All that Simon Reed knows that he needs to do is keep it on the iron, keep it nice and steady. Can't afford any mistakes now as we come on to the final lap. The white flag has been waved for these two. And who will it be? In the background as well, actually, Brad Smith, not too far behind. He's been doing a great job to get something from this and get into 3rd position. You can see him just in the background now, coming into the old hairpin. Simon Reed, though, what a race from him. Obviously getting pole position. Fastest lap as well. Hasn't led every single lap. He has Taylor Flanagan to thank for that. However, when he's been in the lead, he has been looking very good. Well, that one mistake into Redgate. This has been a great race from Simon Reed. Just a few more corners to go, and he will take his first race victory of the season. Let's watch him down this back straight and through the Robert chicane for the final time in this first race. Has to get it nice, no mistakes from Simon Reed. You can see he's been nice and cautious there. He knows what's at stake. Rounding out the final corner, it will be Simon Reed to take his first race victory of the season in the first race here at Donington Park. Cracking stuff there from the number one, proving that he is that number one previous season's champion for a reason, with Sam Milner there coming through for a great second place. Brad Smith fought against the odds after that first lap collision to get a well-earned podium, with Mick Sutton as well doing his bit to salvage something from the race in fourth. Then just in the background, you can see that it will be Kenny Press to come across the line, and a very battered and bruised Taylor O'Flanagan will be finishing in sixth position here. That car has definitely seen better days. However, of course, starting down in or finishing down in sixth place means that he will be starting the second race on reverse grid pole position, Dave. And well, speaking of some of the drivers that were on pole position, well, I can see that pole position for qualifying has joined us, and also race winner has joined us. All of the drivers actually joining us now to have a word with our very own Dave Marshall.
Yeah, so we jump down to our podium spot. We'll jump straight to Brad Smith, feeling a little bit under the weather today, also on brand new gear, and still managing to find himself on the podium after an incredibly difficult first lap. Do we have Brad Smith there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, sorry about that, Brad. I was just saying there that you're feeling a little bit under the weather today, as well as brand new gear. It wasn't the easiest at the start of the race that you could have had there, was it?
No, someone kindly, I don't know who it was, I don't know what happened. Someone kindly, I'm guessing someone hit Mick into me. But we managed to get our grip and pull back to third.
Yeah, I mean, you managed to find some real good consistent pace there, almost managing actually to get Sam Milner across the line. I take it that's looking rather good for you in this reverse grid race with them sort of consistent lap times under your belt.
Yeah, about halfway through the race, I thought I would just keep it on track, keep my pace steady, and then somehow I caught up with them, and I kind of wish now I'd pushed all the way through the race.
Well, huge congrats on getting a podium finish there, Brad, especially after a difficult turn one. Good luck, and let's see what you can do in race two.
Thank you very much.
I'll move forward on our P2 finisher, Sam Milner. A fantastic race from yourself. I tell you what, though, you had a huge moment there midway through the race where you lost the back end coming over the right-hander. I mean, what a save that was.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I completely forgot about that, really, because that was the longest last 5 minutes of a race ever. Brad was catching me at a rate of knots. I'm pleased with that, because it was just a case of trying to look after my tyres. But that moment didn't really help with my tyres.
No, well, I can imagine it definitely didn't. I mean, looking at the lap times, you were setting very, very similar laps to Simon Reed there in front. It was just maybe in that last 5 minutes, was that maybe a little bit of nerves and backing off the pace a little bit, or were you really starting to struggle with the tyres there towards the end of the session?
It was. I was more trying to keep it on the island, to be honest. I was quite happy to come home just behind Simon, to be honest, because I know what pace he's got, and he'll have looked after his tyres a lot better than I did.
Well, it was a fantastic result to bring it home in second place. And you know what? You're definitely putting yourself in running for a really strong performance today. Looking forward to seeing how you manage in race two, and really good luck there.
Nice one. Cheers, Dave.
I'll move forward on our P1 finisher, Simon Reed. I mean, I was going to say it almost went to plan, but Taylor O'Flanagan was really quick out the blocks, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He was flying, and when he made that move on me, I saw him in my mirrors, and I thought, oh, he's too far back to make a move here. I don't need to defend, and there he is. He did it, and he made it stick. Fair play to him.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very, very late move up the inside of it. Caught me and Ed both on a bit of shock there, if I'm honest, that he managed to make it stick. I mean, this is going to be a really difficult race, isn't it? We've seen the racing here. I think it's probably the closest we've actually had on the timing sheets from all of Formula 4, if not the whole of the academy. I take it that means you're going to probably think it's one of the harder tracks to maybe get the overlap and get past on going into race two.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be tricky, as you say. We're all fairly close, and yeah, and I was really beginning to struggle with managing my tyre temperatures in that second half of the race. So it's going to be tricky to make the moves, but I'm going to do my best.
Well, huge congrats there, Simon, and good luck coming through from the back of the grid.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Interesting to hear that, Dave, that Simon Reed was actually struggling a bit in that final race to keep the tyres in check, and he's going to have a lot to do coming into this next race to try and fight up through the field from the back of the grid. Let's have a look. How long do we have left till the racing gets underway? 1.5 minutes. So who's going to be your bet for this next race? Victor, obviously, Taylor Flanagan from pole position is going to be a favourite, but we have seen a few mistakes starting to creep through.
Yeah, if I'm completely honest with you, my money is probably on Taylor. He's got great pace here, and I think if he's got clean air in front of him, he'll be making sure he's not making them mistakes he made in race 1. And I'd imagine he's probably the person to look for in race 2. Just looking at the championship points as well, Simon Reed just managing to get ahead of Luke Weston now by 3 points. But I tell you what, between 3rd and 7th place, there isn't much in it at all. Kenny Press currently in 3rd position on 62 points. Taylor O'Flanagan 58, Sam Milner 56, Mick Sutton 53, and Brad Smith 51. So 11 points separating 4 drivers there. I mean, this means this second race is worth so much to the drivers regarding championship standings.
Yeah, definitely. From the quality of racing we've seen so far this evening, you wouldn't expect to see only 6 cars out on track, but we can run you through the grid here now. Just before the first race, Taylor Flanagan, Kenny Press, Mick Sutton, Brad Smith, Sam Milner, and Simon Reed make up your grid. And with that, you can see the lights starting to come on. The drivers counting down the seconds before they go racing. The engine notes are getting there, and we are going now. And it's a good start there from Taylor O'Flanagan into the first corner. Brad Smith as well looking for a way through. Again, the inside line for Mick Sutton. They will fight side by side into the first corner. Cold tyres. Anyone getting caught out? Oh my word, there's a massive incident. I think Mick Sutton has a collision. Or well, Taylor Flanagan makes a mistake and has a collision there, and the safety car has been called. Several drivers wiped out there. For me, it looked like Taylor O'Flanagan just got a little bit too loose on the exit, maybe a wheel onto the grass. It's easily done, and then just the car speared across to the right-hand side, colliding with Mick Sutton, and Mick just can't catch a break, can he? He's been unfortunate with the way the races have gone into the first corner for obviously first time by in the first race. He was in the middle of a pincer maneuver, and then in this second race he was just on the inside minding his own business, trying to keep out of trouble. But then, well, there's not much you can do when a car spears itself across the circuit, and there's no one really at fault for that incident. It's just a mistake that's had a big impact on these drivers on this race. So with the safety car there out on a virtual safety car out on the circuit, I think we'll imagine they're all got back together, and it'll be a very quick getaway now from the rest of the field. So Brad Smith here will lead them out, lead the field through the final chicane. But when does he decide to go? I think he might be going just about now, actually. So they'll make his way through the final chicane, steps his foot onto the loud pedal, and leaves Simon Reed in the background. But Simon has been doing a great job, already up into second place, and they're starting to break away from the rest of the pack, actually, because look at this. Taylor Flanagan is going to find a way through on Kenny Press, and is he going to do it? No, and there's yet more contact for Taylor Flanagan. He just keeps his car in a straight line, but it's just not Taylor's day, is it? As well as Mick Sutton, but Mick is now up into the podium places for, well, the first sustained time for evening long. What can he do to try and catch up to Simon Reed? Is there too much damage done to his car?
Yeah, and as you said there, not particularly Taylor's day. I think it was really unfortunate there on lap 1. Seemed to get just a little bit out onto that green and got the slightest touch, I believe, to the back of his car. That was just enough to send him across the pack. Really unfortunate accident, but these things do happen. And managed to get a really good launch on the safety car. Actually, saying that, I'll focus my attention on this at the moment. Currently going down the outside of Brad Smith into the braking area. Oh, that's incredibly brave. Oh, Taylor
no.
O'Flanagan with the slight spin. Sam Milner, sorry, is the driver who unfortunately is being caught up in that incident, and unfortunately that's left Taylor O'Flanagan in the catch-up spot again. It's Brad Smith all the way out in front under some extreme pressure from Simon Reed here down the old hairpin. Down into the old hairpin, should I say. It's all going to come down to Simon Reed here. Can he get a good drive? Can he get into that slipstream behind Brad Smith and make it slightly easier for him to get them faster lap times?
I think we've just seen frustration starting to seep into Taylor Flanagan's racing here. He was obviously not pleased with the way the first race went. I was hoping for a fresh start into the second, but it's just been the same as it was a little bit earlier. And I think that was maybe what frustrated him into making that move around the outside into the final chicane. Maybe if he just held back a little bit, forced Sam Milner to go a bit offline and then try and cut him through down the next corner where it's a lot easier to make a move. Maybe it would have been cleaner, but I guess hindsight is of course 2020. You know a lot more after the fact than you do just before it. So unfortunate for Taylor Flanagan to see his race going the way it has this evening. However, he's still going to get some points this evening, and even though he might not be the ones he was hoping for, that could still be key coming into the latter stages of the championship. Simon Reed, though, trying to close into Brad Smith, but doesn't seem to find any inroads at the moment. What a drive this has been from Brad up at the front of the field. And I'll tell you what, this would be a great way to christen his new equipment with a race victory.
It would indeed. You know, he's upgraded from a Logitech wheel, which is a great platform to start your sim racing on. The budget's starting around £200 for a wheel and a set of pedals there on a Logitech. He's upgraded to probably the really well-known in the sim market Fanatec V3 pedals, as well as a 2.5 Fanatec base as well. So really quite a big step up. A very, very good wheel indeed, a belt-driven wheel, and yeah, the pedals honestly are up there with some of the best on the market. Really good pedal feel, about as close to a hydraulic pedal feel as you can get without going to something like a set of OBP eSport pedals, which is one of the prizes in League of Champions, which is tomorrow night from 7:15. Make sure you tune in if you want to watch some GT4 action around the infamous Spa. And yeah, a lot of these drivers really starting to actually get to grips with sim racing now, and actually have done a few guest entries or events in the League of Champions as well. So that's really nice to see that progression. But actually, look at this behind. Mick Sutton putting a move on the back of Simon Reed, but obviously hasn't worked out there. And look who's there again. Noddy, Kenny Press, managing to get himself past Mick Sutton. Sorry, I said that by accident. Noddy's car managing to get past Mick Sutton there, up into third place. Yet again, Mr. Consistent finisher, currently sat in third place in the championship, find himself right where he needs to be.
Yeah, cracking stuff there from Kenny Press again with a good, consistent drive through the field. Let's have a look at this though. If Brad Smith can get this through to round out the evening, this could be a good shout for a drive of the round. Obviously, first race he was involved in the incident into the first corner, caught up in that three-way fight into the first corner on the first lap, but still did a great job, didn't he, to carry the momentum, carry the speed up through and finish on the podium. And he's seen himself up at the front of the field and actually trying and actually succeeding in pulling away from Brad Smith as Mick Sutton is really going hell for that. They're running a bit wide through the old head, but works out for him. Carries the speed through, even with a little bit of grass on his tyres. Trying to line up a move on Kenny Press, and Kenny again having a moment, but Mick Sutton has one of his own, spinning in sympathy for both of them, and then they're going to both get passed by Sam Milner.
I cannot believe it. I cannot believe what I've just seen.
Oh my word.
Unfortunately, Mick Sutton there in, would you say, retaliation to Kenny Press getting a little bit sideways, and look who's behind it. Oh, and Mick Sutton with another spin. dirt is on the tyres. Taylor O'Flanagan, after not really do anything other than miss the back of Mick Sutton's car, has found himself going up into 5th place. That is really unfortunate. Kenny Press managing to get himself going a little bit better, managing to hold on to 4th place. But it's Sam Milner who has found himself back up on the podium spot. He must be thinking, I'm in luck today. A double podium finish is on the books.
This would be great for Sam Milner and his championship chances to get 2 very high scoring points finishes this evening. Obviously 2nd place in the first race, 3rd place on the cards for the moment in the 2nd race. However, things can and often do change in the final 10 minutes of an Academy VRRC race. And as we say that, things have changed up in front because Simon Reed has closed the gap back down to Brad Smith. That was, well, just about over a second, but all of a sudden Simon Reed has started to turn the wick up. Maybe a mistake somewhere, perhaps from Brad Smith, because I think we saw, well, 7/10 of a second made up in that mid-sector alone. So Simon Reed really, really quick pedaling at the moment from previous season's champion. He's got the number 1 there for a reason. Will he be able to finish P1 for the 2nd time this evening? I think time will tell, because again, he's got the nice run through the Craner curves down into the old hairpin, an area where we've seen Simon Reed really strong all evening, using the exit nicely. Slight bump as the car gets onto the asphalt again, but I'll tell you what, this could be great stuff from Simon Reed here, if he's able to really pile the pressure onto Brad Smith.
Yeah, and to be fair, he is putting the pressure on Brad Smith. This is maybe a case of, has Brad Smith maybe pushed his tyres a little bit too far? Or is this Simon Reed using his tyres while he's got them and might really sacrifice that grip later on in the race? And it's Kenny Press, actually, that I'm keeping an eye on. Taylor O'Flanagan putting some real good pressure onto the back of Kenny Press at the moment as well. Lap times very, very similar, but currently Taylor O'Flanagan lapping around half a second quicker, so it won't be too long before actually he finds himself really quite a lot closer to the back of Kenny Press's car.
Yeah, so closing in Taylor O'Flanagan. He's suffered a little bit in the early phase of the race, obviously gutting for him to lose out on the lead the way he did, just that little bit of an error, maybe an inch of the tyre too far onto the grass, and then a bit of contact that might have helped him around. Doing well to dust himself off and get back up into racing ways and trying to close up now to Kenny Press, but Simon Reed is doing the best he can to close into the race leader, Brad Smith, who, well, he's quite a bit surprised to see himself leading and doing so well with his new kit after the adjustment period that he's had to do. I think he only just got it, was it today that I think it all arrived?
Yeah,
or,
I believe it was 2 o'clock today, so from 2 o'clock setting it up, it's already jumped in brand new gear on his simulator and is now running in the top in front of Simon Reed, who is, let's face it, a top championship contender here in the Academy.
Yeah, so Brad Smith, he does get a very good run through that final chicane. That gives him the breathing space needed into Redgate ahead of Simon Reed. So in these closing stages of the race, Brad Smith knows that he needs to be really quick through these corners into the crucial overtaking zones of Redgate, and also probably Coppice is the place where we are likely to see most moves being made. Taylor O'Flanagan once more trying to close in to Kenny Press, but Kenny doesn't look likely to really slow down too much more. So what can he manage? What can either of these drivers do in these final moments? Oh, Simon Reed definitely closing in. Oh, I thought, yeah, there's a couple of wheels out onto the grass through Coppice. Had a bit of a twitch, had to slow the car right down to get it under control. Breathing space once more afforded to Brad Smith. But the amount of breathing space he gets and then the amount he has to hold it again, he's going to be hyperventilating, because that's what the gap is like. It's going backwards and forwards. Breathe, hold your breath, breathe, hold your breath for Brad Smith. Honestly, this is going to be right down to the wire. I'm surprised that we haven't seen any mistakes from either of these drivers so far. This has been a cracking fight, but this is why they are leading the race. They are very, very good at adjusting to this Formula 4 car. Might still be in MX5 mode, some of these drivers, being as They did waste 6 weeks of it to come into another car. There's still a little bit of adjustment needed, I think, for certain drivers, and you're seeing the cobwebs start to well and truly come off now, and I think they're making these Formula 4s their own here, Dave.
Yeah, I think they are. They're really starting to get into the flow of the car now. Starting to understand how important it is to be just smooth. And, you know, if you're nice and smooth and kind to them tyres, then the car is really quick. As soon as you start to push that car beyond its limit, that's really where the car becomes on its knife edge and can really bite you when it doesn't need to. Also, you've got to remember, the actual racecraft behind these cars is very, very different. It's open wheel, tyre-to-tyre contact is really very nasty indeed. You saw there Mick Sutton at the start of race 1 had a pincer move where, you know, you had a driver on the inside and on the outside. I'm not saying it was any driver's fault in particular, but it was just a case of when you get that sandwich position, you can see the cars don't like that side-to-side contact at all, and that was sort of the outcome behind that. So completely different driving style, completely different racecraft. Oh, Simon Reed pushing out onto the grass through Old Hairpin. That's about 110 mile an hour through the bottom of there, out onto the grass. That is some serious commitment. So Simon Reed really pushing on here. And if you're watching this thinking, I love for a go of that, feel free, get involved, jump on the Discord channel for VRRC, go on our Facebook platforms as well, and get involved in some of this racing, because it is seriously good at the moment as well. Lots of other disciplines to take part in. So join Discord and see what we've got going on.
Yeah, definitely love to have you here for the VRRC. Discord is down in the description of the video right at the bottom. If you can scroll down and you want to get involved, please do. You'll be more than welcome. Look at this though, Taylor O'Flanagan doesn't seem to be making many inroads on Kenny Press. This has been a great drive so far from Kenny, just keeping the car where he needs to go, and a mistake coming through from Taylor O'Flanagan. I think that might be down to the damage, the car not turning in as he's been used to doing all of his practice laps, and that could be maybe a bit of a downside of doing so many practice laps, Dave, is that you get used to the car, it becomes muscle memory, and then as soon as you get a little bit of damage, maybe a bit too much tyre wear as well, things start to become a little bit more unravelled.
Yeah, maybe that's actually exactly the thing. Simon Reed yet again in Coppice, looking like that's where he's managing to close that gap, and I dare say running maybe a little bit risky on exit there, Ed. You saw the previous time when he was this close, just getting a wheel on that grass, and that's really where we might see a fall. But actually Sam Milner, I see on the server, has come up with crash with environment, so that would suggest he's had a little excursion off into possibly the wall. Is this maybe the tyres starting to go a little bit past it, but still managing to be in third there? Wheel looks
front wing damage.
Yeah, a bit of front wing damage. That's probably really going to suffer him in straight line performance and corner grip. Front wheel, the steering wheel is still straight though, so that's the damage that for me really makes the difference there. As long as your steering wheel's straight, sort of be fairly predictable with the car. Simon Reed here really starting to make it. Will he do a Taylor O'Flanagan move? He is indeed. He watched Taylor do it. It hasn't quite worked for him on Brad Smith here though, but up the Coppice we've seen Simon getting incredibly wide here. Will he manage to keep his car within limits, or is he going to push it? No, that's nice and safe that. Simon now in the slipstream down towards the chicane. As I said, this is not really for me a place where you can do a move. It's just send a dummy, tuck back in, and then make him think you're going to go for a move, and then have a possible run down towards turn 1. That's a really even drive through the chicane by both drivers here. Simon Reed in the slipstream down towards turn 1. Will he make a move on the brakes here? He isn't indeed. He's just going to tuck in behind Brad Smith down. He's going to go down through the S's here. Will he be able to set up a potential move going down towards the old hairpin? Taylor O'Flanagan, a very committed move up the inside through the chicane. That is incredibly brave, going 2x2 through the chicane, a bit like Croft chicane. It's one of them where, you know, it's wide enough for 2 cars, but in race pace, hey, it's blooming sketchy.
Oh yeah, but it was good stuff. I think both drivers working together on that to make sure the pass was done safely, or the fighting was done safely, rather. Taylor Flanagan coming out on top there. Good committed move. I was glad that that was actually pulled off, and that This evening had a bit more to smile about, because if he just had another incident, I don't know what I would do with myself, because it would be absolutely gutting for Taylor there. Look at this though, Simon Reed closing down, looking to the inside. This is going to have to be a late lunge onto the brakes. Is he going to get the move done on Brad Smith? Yes, he does. Is he going to be compromised on the exit? Well, no, he isn't. You can see the background. He's pulling away now from Brad Smith. So this could be Simon Reed's chance to get 2 race victories on the bounce. Great stuff for him and his championship fight, although Brad Smith won't let him get away with it just so easily. Down they go through the Craner curves into the old hairpin. You can see from the back view the run that Simon Reed has been able to get. Look at that, really over both of the curbs there. It seems to be good for Simon Reed though. The car rides that inside very nicely through the old hairpin, and that is probably the reason why Simon Reed is so strong on this mid-set, because it gives him a great drive up the hill into McLean's and Coppice as well. We see you get a little bit wide, but again keeping it nice and steady. He doesn't need to push too much now that he's got his car in front, and he will be starting the final lap next time by. So next time these drivers come across the line, they will be greeted with the white flag, and it will be Simon Reed to have another race where he takes the final lap in the lead. So we've just seen Kenny Press have a moment there after being passed by Taylor Flanagan. So this is not the race Kenny would have been hoping for. Look at this though, Brad Smith, is he going to go for a move? He's going to look for it around the outside, and they may plummet down through the Craners. Blows down, but I don't think a move will be made into Old Four. Brad Smith needs to focus on getting the best run possible through the old hairpin. You know what, that could be it. He gets a good line, good apex. You could see a bit of understeer through for Simon Reed. He's going to have to do a Taylor Flanagan lunge though into McLean's, covered off down the inside. Wheel to wheel. Is there a cutback move? There's an attempt on a cutback. So he puts his car perfectly on the apex to stop it though.
It does indeed, and I tell you what, we're focusing on this battle, but actually further back as well, Sam Milner and Taylor O'Flanagan, and nose to tail as well for the last podium spot. Taylor O'Flanagan is really very close to the back of Sam Milner, going up in the right-hander now. Simon Reed is looking like he's done enough to hold on to the victory. A fantastic double win there by Simon Reed. Brad Smith, a brilliant drive there in second place. But here we are, Sam Milner, Taylor O'Flanagan for the fight for third place. It looks like Taylor has the run round the outside. Remember, Sam Milner will have a bit of that damage. That's a real shame for Sam to lose out on the podium spot. You saw the advantage in the outright speed that he had. Sam Milner trying to hold on through the chicane, but it's not enough, and it's a fantastic pullback for Taylor O'Flanagan. A brilliant podium to recover what's been a pretty poor couple of races, not necessarily by him, but just being really unfortunate. I think you agree, Ed.
Yeah, really unfortunate, but great to see Taylor O'Flanagan getting that podium position that his pace is definitely warranted. Kenny Press there coming through to take a 5th position finish, and all the drivers rush on in because they can't wait to have a word with you, Dave. So we'll see them all on their in-laps, and you'll actually be able to have a word with them now, Dave.
Well, we will indeed, and hopefully we'll go to our 3rd place finisher. Is your mic unmuted there, Taylor? Can you speak?
Can you hear me?
We can indeed. Yeah, it hasn't exactly been the race meeting that you maybe had hoped for. Very unfortunate in a few circumstances. But I tell you what, you managed to do a fantastic recovery drive there in race 2 and managed to take the bottom step of the podium.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that after the start of the race there. Felt a bit like bumper cars, and then I just had no grip on the rear, so I've even made a couple spins myself, just trying to catch up. So yeah, fantastic drive after that, and yeah, I love Donington circuit. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Donny's one of my favourites as well. We noticed in race 1, you know, once you sort of spin once and get that temp in them rear tyres, it's incredibly hard to put the laps together to try and bring that temp down. But you saw Sam Milner there, damage to the front end, very similar to the damage you had in race 1. Just left him as a bit of a sitting duck there on the straight, but a fantastic drive to put yourself in a position where you could get that overtake done on the last straight before the last chicane.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd actually catch him. I saw him a couple of laps out, and yeah, bit of a hopeful overtake, but yeah, managed to get it done in the last lap.
Well, huge congratulations, Taylor. It's meaning that it's put the championship standings actually very, very tight indeed, and getting that podium position's really brought you into that championship position as well. So huge congrats, Taylor. Maybe not the weekend that you wanted, but still an okay points haul regarding the championship, and looking forward to seeing how you do next round out.
Thanks, Dave.
I will move forward on our P2 finisher. I believe it was Brad Smith not managing quite to get Simon Reed there at the end, but you had a really good go and seemed to be gelling relatively well with your new gear.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to it. It is definitely a lot better. I can feel every little bump. So, yeah, they're definitely better. I just made a slight mistake, a bit too heavy on the brakes, and which allowed Simon to come through.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different method of brake pedal. You know, you've gone from a brake pedal that works on how far you press it to a pedal that works on how hard you press it. So completely different way and settings, but an incredibly impressive result regarding that. You know, a second place finish and a third in race one, double podium, and honestly, it's going to make this championship so close towards the end of the F4.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping to start challenging the top boys.
Well, congratulations, Brad, and hope you start feeling a little bit better soon, mate.
Thank you very much. Just to let you know, you brought the wrong person in the interview room.
Yes, thank you.
No worries. Cheers.
Anyway, I will move forward onto our P1 finisher, Simon Reed. Fantastic effort there, taking on the double win. I mean, you must be fair ecstatic with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't ask for any more, can I? I pole and won both races. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, literally doing the Luke Weston of last weekend, taking on the pole and the double win. A perfect weekend. But yet again, the race wasn't really that easy, was it? Brad doing a very, very good drive there towards the end and putting some serious pressure on.
Yeah, Brad was driving very cleanly, making very few mistakes for me to capitalise on. But yeah, I think he's maybe his tyres dropped off towards the end, and I just managed to have a bit more pace in him and managed to make a move. But yeah, we were fighting right to the pit end there.
Yeah, it was, and fantastic effort there, Simon. As I said, a perfect weekend, and really looking forward to how you do next round out.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much, Dave.
I will move forward as well to have a quick word with our driver of the round, Dan Milner. Huge congratulations. A really impressive drive this weekend. It just seemed to click at this track and this car combination for you.
Yeah, I mean, Donington's probably one of my favourite tracks. Practicing was okay, but it really seemed to come together sort of on the night, really.
And I've got to ask quickly as well, you had a slight excursion with a part of the wall, which in turn led to a little bit of front end damage and losing that podium position to Taylor O'Flanagan on the very last lap. I take it that must have just been trying to hang on to that position, but it wasn't quite enough, was it?
Yeah, good about that, really. It was a lapse in concentration, really. I went off, definitely had some front end damage, and I couldn't even quite get sixth gear on the back straight, so I think it done some engine damage. So yeah, I was just a sitting duck, really, for those last 3 laps or so.
Yeah, well, it was still an impressive drive, enough from our behalf in the commentary box. Fantastic drive out. Huge congratulations on taking driver of the round, and look forward to seeing how you do next time out, Sam.
Great. Cheers, Dave. Thank you.
And there we go, Ed. I mean, as you can see from the championship points, Taylor O'Flanagan and Kenny Press both tie on points there in 3rd and 4th position. Sam Milner and Brad Smith, 69 and 68 points. An incredibly tight F4 championship here at the moment, with still 2 rounds left to go. Or 3 rounds left to go, sorry.
There's 3 rounds, yeah. We've got plenty still to go. In fact, hopefully we will be able to have a look at the calendar and we can tell you where we're going next. My home stomping ground of Snetterton, the 300 circuit there, and that is going to be great to see the Formula 4s racing around, that's for sure. And then Thruxton, one of the circuits where you do need to have a big pair on you. You need to be very brave through there, especially in a Formula 4 car. That final chicane, you're going to have to be right on it, that's for certain. And then Cadwell Park, well, if you need a big pair on you for Thruxton, you'll need a monumental set, wouldn't you, for that track? That's going to be a cracking venue, a cracking way to round out the season. Well, if you have enjoyed all of the action here on VRRC, please make sure to give us a subscribe if you haven't done so already, and as well the stream a bit of a like. We've got racing tomorrow though, don't we, Dave? Like you touched on, the League of Champions GT4 races there at Spa, the final round of the season. That's definitely set to be a cracker, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it is indeed. You know, Spa's a bit of an infamous track. The cars are ballasted up regarding the championship standings. It is incredibly close. And yeah, it is definitely going to be a spectacle that you definitely don't want to miss. So make sure you tune in from 7:15 on our usual platforms of YouTube and Facebook on VRRC.
So, what an evens racing here at Donington Park. Simon Reed took pole position and 2 race victories, but he had to fight for both of them all the way through. Cracking drives all around the field. Nonetheless, Sam Milner, who took driver of the round from his great performances in both race 1 and race 2. That is unfortunately all the time we have here on VRRC. I've been Ed May. Joining me in the commentary box has been Dave Marshall, with the wonderful Tom O'Farrell on the cameras. But from all of us here, it's a goodbye, take care, and stay safe.
Between the two of them, the inside of Coates, Parker gets too heavily involved, and that's Whitehead and Coates.